Please use the link below to get the notes, questions and other videos. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to others for our daily new videos.
Welcome back, guys. Today we are going to look at the beautiful topic called human reproduction. Last time we talked about reproduction in vertebrates. So it's a day today that we are supposed to look at human reproduction of humans. The structures, the functions, the functioning of the human reproductive system, both on male and also on the side of the females. Don't forget to find us on that those YouTube channels, YouTube channel, Facebook, website. If you want notes, you always get them from that website. And then also some questions, also get them from that website. And then if you have any questions or you want a topic to be discussed about, maybe you didn't get it, or a certain paper you want to discuss about, you can drop your question on that number. So as we said that under this topic, we are supposed to look at the structure of the female reproductive system and the male reproductive system. So in the reproductive process, you find a male sperm, which we call the spermatozoa, and the female egg, which we call the ovum. This provide information required to provide another human being, meaning that when the father gives out the sperm and the mother gives out the ovum, these two, they contain the genetic material which provide genetic material for the incoming generation. So when the fertilization takes place, then conception is being done. So that is the time when the male gamete fuses with female gamete. Then we say that you are pregnant or you have conceived. So pregnancy begins immediately, or once the fertilized egg is implanted in the what? In the uterus. The moment implantation occurs, then it means that we say that the person is pregnant. But implantation cannot take place unless fertilization has occurred. So this is what we call the outline of human life cycle, from the time of sperm and ova being produced to the time of maturity, so that these individuals can produce the ovum and the sperm again, so that another individual is being formed. So in the human body, constantly develop and the changes occur throughout the life. And the food provides the fuel, or which we call the nutrients. So this fuel is what you regard as nutrients. So whatever you eat, when you're hungry, you feel weak. With the moment you finish eating, you feel energetic. It means that the food you have eaten has provided fuel to you, so that now you can do other body activities. In the life cycle, you'll find out that you start with the ovum and the sperm. When these two fertilize, when they fuse, the haploid nucleus of this sperm, when the haploid nucleus of this sperm, yes, fuses with the haploids, haploid nucleus of the ovum, then you form a zygote. So fertilization occurs when these two fuse, you form a zygote. Remember, a zygote is diploid, and then mitosis occurs. It means that you multiply these cells. You multiply billions of cells, meaning that all these cells are identical as long as they have not undergone differentiation. So now the moment the adults form, now they produce sperms from the testes, ova from the ovary, and then meiosis occurs again, and then sperms again being produced. So the cycle continues like that. So we saw that meiosis is very important in bringing half the chromosome number, because we say that this is diploid. So, and then the sperm is haploid. You see here meiosis. Meiosis, once it occurs, it breaks down, or it divides these cells into haploid. Also, it is on the haploid, so that fertilization can take place. And then the haploid and the haploid, they fuse, which we call the doubling effect, to form a diploid. And then the cycle continues like that. Do you know about the male reproductive system? Yeah, many students know about these structures, but sometimes when you bring it in exam, you find out that students can't even label their own structures. That is an embarrassment. So let's look at the male reproductive structure. The male reproductive structure. There are some specific parts which you need to know and understand. So the male reproductive structure is made up of what called scrotum. Scrotum is the outside part. This is the scrotum, the outside part, which keeps the testis. We call it scrotum. Then the second one is what called the testis. So the scrotum covers what we call the testis. We're going to see the functions in detail. Then we have what called the epididymis. Epididymis is this coiled part you see. This coiled part tries to store the sperm so that they can mature. Then we have what you call, now when you go like this, we have what you call the seminal vesicle. Seminal vesicle is very important in providing a specific fluid. We're going to see that specific fluid and its function. Then we have what you call the vas deferens. Vas deferens is the tube which gets the sperms from the epididymis and then takes it to urethra. So this is what we call the vas deferens. And then we have what you call another. This is a first gland. We call this one the first gland. This is the first gland. Then we have the second gland, which you call the prostate gland. It's also another gland. We're going to also see the function. Then you have the third gland when you move out. So if you follow this, you'll find out that the first gland is seminal vesicle. The second gland is prostate gland, and then the third gland. So I will call this one the third gland, which we call the Cowper's gland. So now you have what you call bladder. Bladder is not a part of reproductive system, but we can call it a part of urogenital system, urinary system, and then the genital, which is the reproductive system. Yeah. But we bring it so that we can show you exactly the position of the bladder versus the position of the prostate gland. Because sometimes students confuse the prostate gland with the bladder. Then we have what we call the ejaculatory duct. These are ducts. This is where these other glands releases their fluid in. Releases their fluid. So we call them ejaculatory ducts. Then we have what we call a penis. Penis, obvious. Everyone knows about a penis. I don't even need to explain. However, we shall see the actual function of the penis, because sometimes some people, they misuse the penis because they give it another function which is not supposed to be. All right, let's look at then the urethra. Inside the penis, there is a tube which brings out the sperms and the urine and all the stuff which is coming from inside. We call it urethra. And then lastly, we have what the foreskin. Foreskin basically is meant to protect the top part of the penis, but it brings so many diseases. So we prefer to cut it, and then we say that you have done what we call circumcision. But we shall see the function of each part. So we call this one a clear view. So when you look at the clear view, this is what you see, exactly what you see. The penis, urethra, you go to the prostate gland, you go to the seminal vesicle, Cowper's gland, is supposed to be here, and then the tube connects to the epididymis. This tube is called the vas deferens, and then it comes to the epididymis, and then you have the testis there. Then the functions, let's look at the detailed part of the structure of the male reproductive system, which call the functions of each part. The question can come then, why do testes hang outside the female body, the human body? Okay, we shall see that answer. So the first question, the first part is, we say that the testis. What is the function of the testis? The testis has two functions. The first function is to produce sperms. The second function is to produce testosterone. Two functions of the testis. The first one is production of sperms. The second function is production of testosterone. Testosterone is for secondary sexual characteristics. Sperms is those ones which carries genetic material to the offspring. Scrotum. scrotum, which is the outside part of the male. Scrotum is a skin sac that protects the testis, and then you hold the testis, yes, outside the body at a temperature that is 2 degrees below the body temperature. So 2 degrees below the body temperature. Why is testis supposed to be kept to a temperature less than the body by 2 degrees? The body temperature is, we know that the body temperature is 37. Yes. So if it means that it's 37 or 37.5, then it means that the testis temperature should be around 35. Why? Because this is the temperature which is good, favorable, optimum temperature for the sperm to be produced or for sperm production. So this is the best temperature for production of the sperms. Then another part is what called the epididymis. Epididymis is this coiled part. Is this coiled part of the testis? This coiled part of the testis. This is very important in storing the sperms so that they can mature. When the sperm are being produced, they don't mature immediately. No. Actually, sperms spend almost 3 months to get mature. But every day, a human body produces over 100 million sperms. Over 100 million sperms every day. But it means that the process, it started way back. So that by the time every day, over 100 million sperms are being they are being released into the epididymis. Then the epididymis store them, and then they get mature, or they mature. After that, they can be released to carry out the function of fertilization. Yes. So epididymis, the function is to store the sperms so that they can mature and then ready to carry out fertilization. Then we have what called the vas deferens, this tube. Sometimes they call it sperm duct. Don't call it sperm duct because you'll cross it. Its name is vas deferens. When you call me a teacher, it doesn't mean that that's my name. That's not my name. So you call me a teacher because of the job I'm doing. So when you call it sperm duct, that's not its name. It's because of the job it's doing. Sperm duct. Sperm, you know the sperms, and then duct means a tube where sperms passes. So they call it sperm duct, but that's not its real name. Its real name is vas deferens. So in exam, we want you to write vas deferens, not sperm duct. So it transports sperms from the epididymis, from this epididymis where they're being stored, to the urethra, to the penis, where the inside part of the penis, so that now the sperms can move to the vagina. Then we have what we call the Cowper's gland. Cowper's gland. This is Cowper's gland. This produces mucus. We say that we have 3 glands. Gland 1. We say we have the gland 1, gland 2, and gland 3. These 3 glands, we call them accessory glands. So the first gland from outside, we call the Cowper's gland. This Cowper's gland produces a mucus. When you talk about a mucus, you are thinking of rubrication. It rubricates, and then it helps in the movement of these sperms. It rubricates so that when the sperms are coming, they are moving at a very high speed. If you can check how much speed the sperm they are moving when they are moving out of the penis, the speed is very high. That's why the gentleman immediately after ejaculation loses energy because of the speed and the energy these sperms are using when they are coming out of the penis. And then also the contractions which are happening, because this speed is being brought about by the contractions of the muscles of the body, and then because of the too much energy which is being lost, then it ends up the individual loses the energy at the time of ejaculation. All right. Then we have what called the secondary accessory gland, which we call the seminal vesicle. So seminal vesicle is very important in production of nutrients. We say that the sperms are supposed to have energy, but how will they have energy if they don't have nutrients? So it's the function of the seminal vesicle to produce these nutrients. These nutrients, they come as fructose. Fructose are sugars. So these sugars, they contain a lot of energy, and then this energy can be used by the sperms to swim towards the ovum. So we're going to see it, the structure of the sperm. How does it use the energy being produced? And then we have the last accessory gland is called the prostate gland. This produces the alkaline fluid that neutralizes. We know that the urethra of the penis is acidic because of the urine which passes through the penis. And then we know that the vagina is also acidic. Yeah, because sometimes it can be too acidic, and then in such a way that it kills most of the sperms, and then it can prevent fertilization to take place. So if that situation happens, it means that the lady is supposed to go to the gynecologist, and then they give her some recommended medications to reduce the acidity of the vagina, so that not all the sperms which come into the vagina are being killed. So the prostate gland, the function is to provide this alkaline fluid. This alkaline fluid tries to neutralize the acidic nature of the vagina and the urethra or the penis when the sperm are being moved. Why? Because sperms don't require acidic medium. If the acidic medium is present or is too much, then it's going to kill these sperms. So the acid is produced in the vagina, which would kill the sperm cells. So if the acid is too much, then the sperm cells are going to be killed. That's why we produce what we call the alkaline fluid to neutralize this acidic nature of the vagina and the urethra. Then the urethra, what is the function of the urethra? When you talk about the urethra, as if you're talking about the penis. Why? Because the urethra is the inside part of the penis, is the tube which passes through the what? The penis, where urine and the semen are being produced or passes through when they're coming out of the what? Out of the body. So urethra transports semens. Now I've talked about semens. What are semens? Some people confuse what calls semens and sperms. So these are two different things. When we talk about sperms, sperms are what called the spermatozoa. But if you talk about semens, we have seen that these three accessory glands produce some fluids. These fluids, the fluid from the seminal vesicle, the prostate gland, and the Cowper's gland, they join. When they join, we form what we call semens. So a semens is a combination of these three fluid from the accessory glands plus sperms. So when you talk about sperms, it means that there is no fluids from these accessory glands. So when you talk about semens, it means that the three fluids from accessory glands plus the sperms. So now when you talk about urethra transporting the semens and the urine, it means that it's transporting these fluids which are coming from the accessory glands and the sperms in general. All right, let's go. Functions of the testes. What are some of the functions of testes? Testes produce a hormone called testosterone. This hormone has specific functions in the male reproductive system or in the male body. So what are some of the functions of testosterone? This is very important in the development of this male secondary sexual characteristics. These are the characteristics which shows you that you are now a man. That's why you're saying male reproductive, male secondary sexual characteristics. The characteristics which you are not born with, they come after you have grown up, and they come as a result of this hormone called testosterone, such as beard, pubic hair, deep voice, and then muscular body. So it means that if you are a man and you don't have that, does it mean that you are not a man, or does it mean that you don't have testosterone? You are a man, but you might be having less testosterone. Yes. And then you have number 2 is to stimulate the maturation of sperms. Sperms get mature as a result of testosterone. So if testosterone is not being produced, it means that the sperms are not going to mature. Then lastly is, we can say that seminal vesicle, prostate gland, this is a knot. You need to put this as a knot, This is a knot. a knot. Seminal vesicle, I explained it, is seminal vesicle, and then prostate gland, and then Cowper's gland. All these three, we call them accessory glands. We can bring this in the terminologies. Now I ask you, the accessory glands, no, seminal vesicle, prostate gland, and Cowper's gland are referred to as, then they are referred to as accessory glands. Or the glands in the male reproductive system, which produce the fluids, are referred to as accessory glands. So where are the sperms being produced from? Where are the sperms being produced from, which you call the seminiferous tubes? So let's look at the seminiferous tubes, the simple structure of seminiferous tubes, and the things which you need to know about the seminiferous tubes. The first thing you need to know about the seminiferous tube is the cells of Leydig. Cells of Leydig. What is the function of the cells of Leydig? This is very important for production of testosterone. We have seen the function of testosterone. That testosterone is very important in secondary sexual characteristics and also very important in the maturation of the sperms. So testosterone, it originates, or it comes from being produced from cells called Leydig, the cells of Leydig. The second cells are called satellite cells. What is the function of satellite cells? This is very important in the production of nutrients so that these sperms can develop. So these nutrients are found in the seminiferous tubes. They're very important in making these cells. They're very important in making the spermatozoa. They're not yet spermatozoa. They only become spermatozoa when they have matured. So satellite cells produce nutrients so that these sperms can what? Can develop into mature spermatozoa. So you need to know those two cells, the cells of Leydig, we like to ask you that, and then satellite cells. So if you look at the simple structure of seminiferous tube, yes, you find that the satellite cells are found here, and then these satellite cells are the one which produce these nutrients, and then these sperms, they start to develop. So cells of Leydig are here where they produce the testosterone, and then this testosterone which is being produced here, they are very important in making these cells to mature. Yes, so basically that is a simple structure of the seminiferous tube. So we say that if we do a small recap, Leydig cells produce testosterone. Testosterone is very important in the maturation of the sperms, and then the satellite cells produce nutrients which are going to help these sperms to mature because they require nutrients for them to mature. And then lastly, let's just look at a simple structure of a female reproductive system. Female reproductive system. Female reproductive system is a little bit simple compared to the male reproductive system. And sometimes I wonder, you find out that males know the female reproductive system more than the female, and the female know the male reproductive system more than the males. And I ask myself, why? I think you know the answer better than me. All right. All right, the female reproductive system has what's called a fallopian tube. Fallopian tube. Not oviduct. The same thing, sperm duct. No. We call it fallopian tube. That's its name. Then it has what's called the uterus, where the baby develops from. Then it has what's called the endometrium, where attachment takes place. We're going to see this in detail. Cervix closes the vagina or separates the vagina from the uterus, and then protects, gives some protection of the cervix, gives some protection of the uterus. Then you have the vagina. Simple, nice, and no need to explain. This is called a birth canal. That's where most of people or most of us passed when we are coming to this troubling world. All right. Then we have what's called a vulva. Vulva is the outside part of the vagina. So these are the parts which you need to know regarding to the female reproductive system. We'll explain this more detailed and then see exactly using animals reproductive under our new YouTube channel called The Bride Doctor. So, all right, let's look at the functions of the parts. The vagina receives the penis So the function of the vagina is to receive the penis. So it means that it's the only vagina which is supposed to receive the penis based on the science and based on what science tells us to do. So it receives penis and semen. Semen is we say that is the combination of the fluid from the 3 accessory glands plus the sperms. So we call them semens during sexual intercourse. So we have seen it here that the vagina receives the what? The penis and also the semens. So semens are supposed to go into the vagina, and also based on this, and also vagina also receive the what? The penis. However, some people, they put these things in different areas. I won't talk about that. Hey, number 2 is ovary. Ovary is very important in production of egg cells. It does not stop there. It also produces what you call progesterone. Doesn't stop there. It also produces what you call estrogen. So ovary has 3 functions: production of egg cells, which called ovum or ova, and then production of progesterone, which maintains the pregnancy period, and then production of estrogen, which prepares the body for implantation. It prepares the body, the uterus, so that implantation can take place. We shall see that in the next class. Then number 2, we have what called the fallopian tube. Fallopian tube connects the ovary to the uterus. It connects the ovary. If you look at this, it connects the ovary. Yes, this is the fallopian tube. So it connects this uterus and then the ovary. So that's the function of the fallopian tube. However, the major function of the fallopian tube is the site. Is a site for fertilization to take place. It's a site where fertilization takes place. We love this in exam. When we ask you what is the function of the fallopian tube, it's a site for fertilization. Then number 3 is the uterus. This carries the embryo during pregnancy. It carries the embryo. That's where is the space. If we talk about the space, we call it uterine cavity. Yes, it has, the uterus is divided into 3: the uterine wall, the uterus, the uterine cavity, and then endometrium. Endometrium is also a part of the uterus. Yes, but now if we label them differently, then you have to understand, or you have to tell us based on where the arrow is coming from. Basically, this is the uterine cavity, and then this is the uterine wall, and then this is the endometrium. Uterine, this part is the uterine cavity, and then this is the uterine wall, and then this is the endometrium. So that's it. And then number 2 is we say that it's very important for carrying the embryo and then the fetus. Why do we call it embryo, and when do we call it fetus? When do you call it embryo, and when do you call it fetus? We shall see it when we go to pregnancy. All right, endometrium. Endometrium is very important. This is the endometrium. So basically it's supposed to go and then attaches itself there. That's the endometrium. Endometrium is the inner lining of the uterus. That's why I said that the uterus is divided into 3: the uterine cavity, endometrium, and then the uterine wall. Yes, the inner lining of the endometrium, uterus, and then it's a place where embryo implants itself. Actually, that's where the implantation takes place. Finger-like projection takes place from there. It is where the placenta is supposed to connect. Yes. So it's very important for implantation to take place. Cervix. Cervix is the lower narrow part of the uterus, and it stretches during pregnancy to allow the baby go through during birth. And also it gives out protection because it closes. It only opens, it gets what called a plug. It only opens during around day 14 when the fertilization is supposed to take place. Yeah, that's when it tries to open so that the sperms can enter the fallopian tube, and then fertilization can take place. So that the sperm can enter the uterus and then the fallopian tube, and then fertilization can take place. Vagina, we say that vagina, it has 2 names. It's the vagina and then the birth canal. The vagina receives the penis, we said it, and then we call it birth canal because of the function of the second function of the passage where the baby passes when you are giving birth. However, some people, they get what you call C-section. C-section, and then the baby doesn't pass through the vagina and then passes canal, another channel which they have created. So those are the functions. And then the vulva is the external opening which allow penetration to occur. That's where the penis passes before it reaches what? The vagina. So that's what we call the vulva. So basically, those are some of the functions of the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system. So I think I'm going to stop here. When we come back again, we're going to talk about the structure of the ovary, the structure of the sperm, and how do we ask questions concerning about that, the structure of the ovum, and how do we ask questions about that, and then also puberty, so that I finish that, and then I'll go to spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Then we shall end up with the menstrual cycle. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and also get all the sources from that link below. See you again in the next class.